All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Liz Eggleston, and I run Course Report. We help people find and choose the best training programs and courses to reach your career goals. You may have heard of Zip Code Wilmington already. They've built a really solid reputation in Delaware and in the East Coast, but they also train students remotely across the U.S., and they're doing a lot of things that we really like at Course Report. Zip Code is a nonprofit boot camp. They designed the program to be accessible and affordable. So I wanted to invite Dan Stabb, who is the Director of Admissions and Professional Development, to join me today to talk about Zip Code Wilmington. We're going to talk about the admissions process, what's changing in the curriculum in 2026, and what graduates are seeing in the job market right now. Just a few quick questions. Dan, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My pleasure.
So I want to start with you a little bit. Like, what brought you to Zip Code Wilmington, and how do you work with students?
Sure. So throughout my career, I worked in higher education. So I primarily worked with international students in my previous roles, and then did that for about 15 years, and I was just ready to make a shift. I loved what I had done, and then funny quick story, I had gone to like a chip and putt golf with my then fiance, now wife, and my now three stepsons. And my wife noticed somebody had a hoodie that said Zip Code Wilmington on the back. And she was like, I wonder what that is. And I said, I have no idea, but that sounds cool. Well, fast forward 2 or 3 weeks later, I saw this position for admissions manager. And I thought the position sounded really cool. The company sounded really cool. So I applied, completely forgetting that was the hoodie that that I saw a few weeks before. My wife reminded me that, yes, that is the very thing we saw. So
you were influenced in the wild.
I was influenced, exactly.
So you're from Wilmington, or at least live in Wilmington.
I live in Wilmington now, yeah. So I'd grown up right across the border. I mean, what really appealed to me was the fact that it's a nonprofit, especially coming from a higher education background. And at the time, the role was just admissions, and then over time was given a lot of opportunities to at least observe and then help with the professional development side of things. And then fast forward a few years, that became part of my now very long title, where I get to wear both hats, the admission side and the professional development side.
Amazing. So I think we mentioned Zip Code Wilmington has been around since 2015. What do you think has changed the most about how you train developers today versus even 2 or 3 years ago? You've seen this real evolution over the last few years.
Well, I mean, I think I'll start with the easy answer. AI obviously has really changed how we do things. Where I think we had the same reservations in the beginning when AI really first started to come into play, and then realized that we needed to embrace it and we needed to adapt. And now it's very integrated into our curriculum. I think the other big aspect of what we do, and this ties into the professional development side, is that what we were finding was that almost organically, we were not just training students to become software developers or data engineers. We were really training them to be professionals in the tech field. So we started to put a lot of focus, in addition to the interview prep that we always do, and a lot of the soft skills training that we do. We started to put a lot of focus on public speaking as well. So it all culminates in a big capstone we call Demo Day, where Demo Day used to be just something we casually invite people to. It's their it's the opportunity to show the big group capstone project at the end. And now it's an event. We invite community partners, we invite employers. It becomes a huge showcase. The students prep all 12 weeks for this, or it really culminates in that. And what we've started to really much more purposefully integrate is that presentational side of things. And what we're finding, a student reached out to me not that long ago saying they got this significant speaking opportunity as part of their job. I think it was a conference, and they said, before Zip Code, you told me to public speak. And I said, there's no way on earth if that's happening. So it's cool to really see that evolution.
That's so cool. And I feel like being able to really like break through the noise in the job application process right now is so tough. And like public speaking, being able to present your work is huge and a very human skill.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
And so, what is new in the 2026 zip code curriculum? I see like it's like AI enhanced software development. So, when we say AI enhanced software development, which we see a lot and we see that in the curriculum at zip code, what does that actually look like for a student day to day at zip code? What are they learning now?
Sure. So the two of the main tools that we're using are Claude and Copilot. We do have a Microsoft license, so the students are really able to utilize Copilot to its maximum ability.
Very cool. So, still teaching Java, still teaching data engineering, but AI enhanced.
Yeah, so what we've really integrated into, by we, I'm meaning our education team, they've integrated AI into the curriculum. So the students learn to how to leverage it as sort of a tag team partner, as opposed to, okay, just generate the code for me. It's much more a collaborator, because what we're finding more and more is that, yes, there is the notion that quote unquote AI is taking the jobs, but what we're finding more and more is that AI is taking the jobs of those who haven't really learned how to leverage AI. And so by embedding it in our cohort, we're teaching the students how to use it responsibly, how to use it ethically. It's like I said, it's not just spitting out the code for you. It's a collaborative tool. We really challenge the students to sometimes use it as a way to test their understanding. So as opposed to having the AI just give the code, we tell the students, okay, share your understanding with the AI and have the AI become a feedback loop for you. And so what we're finding is that the more detailed the students are able to leverage it and walk through it, the better the results. And this past cohort that just finished a couple of months ago, were the first one. It's the first cohort where we fully embedded AI into the curriculum. The end products were just so good, to the point that, because we used to just showcase their group projects, we were now showcasing passion projects as well. And the students were able to intelligently talk through their code and talk through their projects with partners and with community members at a way that was much higher level than they maybe were able to before. Again, because they're just learning to use it as a tool and not as a crutch.
Do you remember one of those projects?
Yeah, we had a student who he came from the restaurant industry, and he had a lot of frustration with point of sale systems, and talked about how he never found a point of sale system that was able to be as intuitive and really actually meet the needs of servers and the kitchen staff. So he created this system that it was gamified, so it kind of looked like a RPG Dungeon and Dragons style video game, but you were able to customize it. But he implemented a feature where, and I never thought about this. He said, if I'm a server and I put in an order and I make a mistake or the customer changes their mind, there's currently no mechanism to stop it without you running to the kitchen and frantically saying, hey, we got to change this. So he built in, and it seems so simple on the surface, but it's brilliant, a timer, like a grace period timer, to allow the time for any edits to be made, or for the customer to say, no, I want dressing on the side. And he was one of the ones that got to feature the Passion Project on demo day. And I sit in the back. I kind of produce and direct out of sight of everybody else. And it was really fascinating watching the audience, just how many people were like feverishly writing and taking pictures of the project. And when we sort of do a conference style mixer at the end where they get to talk through the projects in much more detail, and just watching the way he was able to engage and talk through his project and how many people were interested in it. And he was one of the first ones hired out of the
Amazing.
cohort as well. It was so cool. So cool.
I always love the overlap between like a boot camper's past life and then what they present at demo day. So do employers go to that demo day?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
they go to
Really
yeah,
cool.
it's like I said, it's become an event. And so and sometimes it's employers that may not even necessarily be hiring for that particular cycle, but they just, they thankfully want to support zip code and the students, and B, they may be scouting for, 3 months, 6 months down the road. But we've had students who have, I remember in particular, there's a couple cohorts ago, we had a student who had a really strong demo day presentation, and then one of the employers came up to us and they said, do you guys have an office, because we want to interview this guy now, and like literally interviewed 15 minutes after demo day and then got a job.
Amazing.
So it's so cool to have that kind of energy there.
And Dan, how do you do that for the remote students? Are they also doing that demo day?
They are. So our classes are a mix of remote and in person, regardless of where the students are remote. We leverage Slack, we leverage Discord, obviously Zoom. So there are a lot of ways that the students are able to work remotely with one another, because obviously that's something in 2026 you're going to have to know how to do anyway. But then for the demo day part itself, we do require that they attend in person. So they're in person for that part of it, and then obviously for the final presentation as well. So sometimes they just crash with one of their cohort mates or grab a hotel room, but yeah, they are fully a part of that process.
Okay, so we talked about some of like the professional skills and public speaking. What skills are you seeing on the professional development side as being more important right now, probably because of AI? And what do you think is becoming less important?
I don't know if it's for AI per se, but I mean, really, those people skills are becoming more and more important. Obviously, to be able to work cross functionally across teams, whether it's your own team or also to be able to talk to clients and customers. I think being able to approach problems with curiosity is really vital, and I'm seeing more and more, and something we're stressing more and more to our students. I think especially in light of AI, where again, going back to what I said earlier, it's not that AI is doing the work for you, is how do you approach this problem with a curious mindset, so that you can really see how you can work towards a solution, but again, with your team. So those are the things that I'm finding more and more, and that's the feedback we're getting from our partners and our employers more and more, is that I can put these guys anywhere with any team, and they just know how to work with them. And that curiosity, like we had a student who was hired out of the cohort by the state of Delaware for a language she never touched at zip code, but she knew how to approach her interview to demonstrate that curiosity, that desire to learn. She was able to compare it to things she had done at zip code, and because she had that desire to just grow and learn, they hired her for the role, and now she's doing incredibly well.
Okay, who is the ideal applicant for zip code right now? Like, who are you looking for in the application pool?
I do think that we are trying to tap more into potential, because so up until last year, we had a coding assessment as part of our application process, and we actually removed that, and we
Wow,
made it a
okay.
much more, yeah, we made it a much more interview focused process, and it's a multi-step interview process, but where we really get to know the applicant. Um, and so that, again, that ability to work in a team is really important. So the first step is a step with me, which is a group interview. I just want to see how you communicate with people, how you, like, we throw some funky stuff at them during the group interview, but we just want to see, how do you respond to that? How do you respond as a team? Knowing that, and we're very accepting of the fact that a lot of folks who are more on the introverted side tend to be attracted to this industry. So we definitely take that into account. So we're not looking for alpha extroverts here. We're just saying, can you work with people? That curiosity that I mentioned before is super, super important. And that I'm a huge believer. I love Simon Sinek and the power of why. And like, we really talk to the students and the applicants about understanding their why beyond just the money. Like, because yes, the money is nice, but there are a lot of jobs out there where you can make the nice money. It's, what is it about this field in particular that is appealing to you, especially because most of our students are second or third career students. So, when we're saying, why do you want to make this switch? We're hoping that they're tapping into that desire to problem solve. We're hoping they're tapping into that curiosity, that desire to make change, whether externally or internally. So yeah, I don't know per se that what we've looked for has changed too much, but I think what we're finding more and more, going back to the example with the cohort where the student had the point of sale system, that was the first cohort that did not have the assessment. And to see what their finished products were, because they had that mindset, because they were curious, because they were, and they were willing to push themselves. One last thing I'll mention is that ability to take feedback. is super, super important because we're a very intense program. You have a lot of stuff thrown at you. And sometimes you're going to get constructive feedback that, I mean, can, we give it very constructively, but it can be overwhelming.
And a boot camp is a lot of like failing until you get it, right? It takes a lot of determination.
Exactly. And that's one of the things we've become much more diligent about saying up front. Like, you're going to fail, and not in a bad way. Like, that's how you're going to learn. It's how do you take that failure and see it as an opportunity to grow and learn from it. And that's, I think, another huge key thing that we're looking for is that you're going to make mistakes. Are you the type that is going to feel almost blockaded by those mistakes, or are you going to see it as an opportunity to say, I'm going to solve this problem, I don't care how I do it, and then you find a way to do it?
So students don't need a coding background. Really, what predicts success, you think, is more understanding their why, making sure they have a why, their ability to take feedback, that kind of grit and determination.
Yes, yes.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
And so, okay, because you have an interesting role, this dual role in admissions and then also professional development, how do you think that careers or professional development and outcomes are tied to admissions at Zip Code? Are you thinking of them in the same bucket?
Yeah, it's a really good question because what I think, and I don't think I realized this when I first took on both roles, but I don't see them as opposite ends. I see them as a continuous evolution. So, the application process is an opportunity for me to see where areas of growth might be. Because there are things, like for example, we we um we we expect we say we expect business casual during the interview process. Not everybody necessarily knows what business casual is. Is that something I can teach? Yep, I can teach that. But if the grit is there, the determination is there, and these are things that I can help teach and foster and help evolve over time, that's something we can work with. Like, if anything, and I've said this in other conversations in the past, like, I see more transformation in 3 months than I used to see in 4 years working in higher ed. And I loved working in higher ed. But it's also really important to us that applicants are aware of what this program is and what our intentions are. Now, we don't guarantee jobs. We've never guaranteed jobs, but we will do everything in our power to help them get the job at the end, no matter how long that takes. And so if it's an applicant that we think, just wants to try coding, just wants to dabble in coding, there are programs out there that are great for that. It's just not what we are. And so that long gaming of the outcomes does become important, where if we, and this is where that tapping into the why becomes really important. But I'm very big on potential. That's always just the most satisfying part of the job, is seeing somebody who did not believe in themselves at various times during the cohort, and then are now not only doing great things, but are moving up in the industry and giving back to our current students. Like, the amount of alumni that engage with us and our students to give back is really, really cool. And then that helps with those employer partnerships as well. So it's all very cyclical.
Definitely.
Very
That
cool.
warm introduction from somebody who has already graduated and works at the company that you're applying for is like invaluable.
Yep.
And so, speaking of those employer partnerships, I know you mentioned the demo days and working on those. What are you hearing from employers, or what is Zip Code hearing from employers right now about what they are looking for in Zip Code grads? Do you think AI is changing that expectation? Are they looking for different, skills when a student graduates, or what are you hearing from employers?
Yeah, I think AI is changing the conversation a little bit, but again, it's much more, are the students able to leverage it? Because some of the companies we work with are utilizing AI, but because of, we work with a lot of banks. Those banks, because of regulatory issues, may not be diving headfirst into AI as much as other companies are, because they have to make sure that they have to check all these boxes, because the last thing they can do is give a customer wrong information or do something incorrect with their account, because that's incredibly damaging. What we're also hearing more and more from employers is that we just want somebody who can hit the ground running. Because I mean, yeah, we're going to have orientation, and yes, we're going to ease-ish you into the role, but more often than not, they're working on their first project and not a lot of time at all. So somebody who's really willing to hit the ground running, somebody who doesn't see code as sort of their end point in terms of learning. Like they're looking for folks who want to get their AWS certification, who want to learn different technologies, who want to bring new ideas. We're getting that consistent feedback, especially from the companies that do hire from us, in terms of like, these are the boxes that the students that we're hiring are consistently checking, and please send us more of them, because that's what we're looking for.
And where are alumni working right now? Like, can you mention some of those employer partners or hiring partners?
Sure. Yep. JP Morgan Chase, who have hired a lot from us, over the 11.
That's a long-standing relationship. I feel like when I think zip code, I think JP Morgan Chase.
Oh yeah. I mean, that goes way back to the very beginning. JP Morgan, yeah. BlackRock, Vanguard has hired from us. M&T Bank, and we've had a couple of students who, not necessarily their first jobs, but we are now hearing of students who are working for Google or Apple, which is incredibly cool.
Are you noticing that graduates are going into the same types of roles right now? Or are you seeing a heavy influx of different titles that people are getting hired into, or different verticals that you're seeing?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing more of a diversity in the roles that we're getting. Now, we do have the two tracks. We have software developer and data engineer. But even for the software development side, it used to just be software developer, junior software developer. We're seeing a lot of QA analysts getting hired. On the data side, there's a lot of different positions and verticals that we're seeing as well. Which is really cool, because that's opening our eyes, especially, as the instructors, each year we work with a steering committee. These are our partners. These are the employers who tell us these are the technologies, these are the skills that we're looking for. We're seeing more and more that because the types of positions are more diversified, that more doors are opening for students. And that has allowed us to kind of rethink sort of this is the path. We're realizing that there are more opportunities and more paths. And we've had a couple of students who were hired as Scrum Masters coming out of the program, because we do teach Agile at Zip Code as well. And so, we had one student, she actually worked for us at Zip Code. She was our marketing and communications manager, I believe, enrolled in the program and went to be hired as a Scrum Master, and is doing phenomenally well right now. And if you talk to her, she's a Scrum Master.
But heavily informed by what you learn in software engineering. Exactly. Okay, so Dan, say that I am a potential applicant. I have no coding background. I'm starting from scratch. What would be your advice as to how I should approach learning software engineering today in the age of AI?
So we provide a lot of free resources, even without the assessment now, for students to get hands-on, because it's literally the only way you can do this, is by being hands-on with it. And I mean, it could be something like, Coursera or Udemy, some of the free resources that the students use. We also, as applicants matriculate through our program, we have our own internal system where they could be fingers to keyboard learning. And so I think even with the advent of and the growth of AI, still approaching coding the same way we would have told applicants 3, 4, 5 years ago. Fingers to keyboard, practice it every day, try. But like I said, using AI more as a tag team partner feedback loop, as opposed to just do the code for me.
I think that is the perfect place to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me and giving everyone a closer look at how Zip Code Wilmington is training developers right now, what this AI enhanced curriculum looks like, and what admissions really looks like right now. Really appreciate you joining. And thanks to everyone for watching. We will see you on the next Course Report Q&A. Let us know in the comments who you'd like to see us interview next.